Honest J. Nowak. Coming at you live. Alright. A pleasure to meet all at last, and welcome back to some more HJN Graphix. And now it's about time where we actually go ahead and talk a little bit more about certain things regarding gaming. So I'm glad to go on ahead and talk a bit about another big time, amazing modern Sega masterpiece, Judgment. And so let's just go ahead and get on into it, shall we? Judgment, by any means, is probably what I consider to be another amazing game from the year 2018. So, while the year 2018 has had a lot of ins and outs, and I consider it to be a bit of an average year, certainly being better than the likes of 2017, and also kind of being a little bit better than 2019. But at this point, I would consider 2019 to be a debatably bad year. But at this point in time, I'll just go ahead and say that for a 2018 title, Judgment, a game by Sega. Yeah, of course, I've talked about Alien Isolation some time ago, and so that's just pretty much what that's like. But for another game made by Sega for the PlayStation 4, Judgment is just amazing. You can really think of it as like a culmination of the Batman Arkham games and the many open world environments of a handful of other games out there that I played on the PS4. So, Batman Arkham Knight, and pretty much the open world things that happen from a lot of other games. I consider this to be like Batman Arkham Knight by all means, because there are a variety of different things out there. First of all, you play as Yagami-san, whom was a former lawyer who has now turned into a private eye detective, now working with a local law firm at Genda, inside a fictional Japanese city known as Kamurocho, alongside a former Yakuza member known as Kaito-san, who turned out to be a good friend in the end, pretty much. But Yagami-san basically has a mission at hand to basically put out the life and career of rival, hostile leader of another Japanese gang known as Hamura. And Yagami-san does have a huge adventure right ahead, pretty much. Starting from all the way at the very beginning, the opening cutscene in the game gives us a nice through explanation of how Yagami-san was a very high-ranking lawyer and a very darn good one inside Japan, but eventually had to resign after a huge level of different problems relating to a certain murder case had taken place. But within a few years, Yagami would eventually become a very skilled and clever private eye, working with the Genda law firm. But then, of course, there comes a case where a murder takes place. An unfortunate victim is brought alongside a nightclub and has both eyes gouged out. Hamura is the only suspect who seems to be the only liable case. But, at the hands of Yagami-san, Kaito-san, and a variety of other characters that you find within the game, they end up giving out all the proof and evidence they need to acquit Hamura's case. And so, the trial basically ends with Hamura being let go, found innocent, end of story. But it eventually gets down to a point where it seems to get worse for Yagami-san. Even though they basically held Hamura out, Hamura still has the audacity to want to exact revenge. And man, is it just pure, unbelievable nightmares, left and right. For a game like this, it has a pretty intriguing story relating to law firms and detectives and crime solving. It really gives you that feeling of a lot of other unique franchises out there, from Dick Tracy all the way out to Jake and the Fat Man, pretty much. But by all means, I'm probably going to consider this to be a nice game. I won't really consider it to be as amazingly well put together, because at this point I might have to consider creating another countdown based on the best PS4 games I've ever played, and eventually I might want to go and create a top countdown based on the worst PS4 games I've ever played. In the same way that I basically made a top countdown based on the best Nerf blasters I got and the worst Nerf blasters I got. And I might also maybe have to do some other things out there relating to countdown videos, just because I like to do this kind of content all the time. But back to Judgment. When I play this game, I really do get a big knack out of a lot of things. You can basically fight hand-to-hand unarmed combat with a lot of low-life thugs who are out in the city of Kamurocho wanting blood and vengeance and dominance in the city. Yagami-san has a variety of different attacks that you can use. And there's also a nice natural progression system that you can utilize, but it unfortunately does not automatically level itself up. There are a certain amounts of point systems that you can get, as well as currency that you can get in the game, which of course in Japan is yen. And as you know, yen is equivalent to dollars. 100 yen would be equivalent to 1 American dollar. So 1 yen equals 1 penny. So it's a pretty easy way to differentiate between yen and American dollars. But by all means, the way that you use both of these things to your advantage, these skill points, which can be used to buy certain moves, to buy certain skill sets, to buy certain attributes and talents of all sorts, you have a nice sort of manual progression system that puts into place and really gives you a nice upheaval of certain things that you can pull off within the game. And depending on how far you get, as I was able to get in through maybe 10, 12 hours pretty much before I decided to call it quits, because I already got all the info that I need, all the video clips I need, and therefore all the GWK content that I will be able to produce with. Especially the upcoming leg of Megapix Weekly Season 2, which I will be debuting Judgment into GWK entirely, as well as a handful of other titles. So do be on the lookout for what I'll have to offer for GWK on Megapix Weekly. I mean, I've already debuted at the likes of such games like Outriders, Subnautica 1 and 2, as well as Outriders entirely, pretty much. Yeah. For such a bad game, I really had to put Outriders in as much as I possibly could. So Outriders and Outriders. An entire 7-day long excursion, pretty much. It's going to be all about Outriders. And you can find those clips on my channel if you want to go watch them, but currently, there's a lot I have to work on. And I was glad to actually go ahead and play Judgment pretty much, just because. So by all means, go pick yourself up a copy, if you can. It's also got a pretty nice variety of different voice actors, both Japanese and American. Actors in the American dub variant of Judgment, like Greg Chun and Fred Tatasciore. I mean, there's a lot of well-known, familiar actors that you can find in this game. Just like with a lot of other more recent games, it turns out we are in fact seeing a lot of these different voice actors from our childhood all over again. I mean, it's probably about time, because there are a lot of things out there that these voice actors can do to make their careers even bigger and better. And not to mention, there's even a PlayStation 5 game called Lost Judgment, which I feel like is probably a sequel to this. And it did just come out recently, so I doubt that I'll ever be able to play it because it's a PlayStation 5 game. I don't even own a PS5 console for myself. And besides, I plan on retiring from gaming pretty soon, so at this point, I'll just go ahead and call it off. But at least I love what Sega has done with this game, in the same way that I love what Alien Isolation has pretty much become. Sega, these days, has pretty much become a washout by the end of the 1990s. But now it looks like they have fully redeemed themselves, and it seems like they're now out to create masterpiece by masterpiece for all modern consoles across the board. And I am very happy with that. So, if you want to see more of that on my channel, then make sure that you like, subscribe, comment, follow me on social media, and stay on the Hollywood side.